Welcome to the October event for GEG Iowa. Everything that you need to know about the group can be found at our website. Our website is currently displayed on the bottom of the screen, but it is bit.ly/ and then capital GEG dash capital IOWA for GEG Iowa. So if you go to that URL, it will take you to our website's homepage. I'll walk you real quick through our website. The first page gives you information about the group and then tells you how you can get connected with the group. You can get connected with us on our discussion board, which there's information about our discussion board here. It is just a Google group. So it's just an email thread that educators in Iowa can use to get connected, to support each other through sharing of resources. If you just click on that, it will take you to our Google group and you can get connected with us. The other thing on here is information about our monthly meetings. We generally meet the third Wednesday of every month. This month we are meeting outside of that norm because I was on my honeymoon with my husband in Iceland during the third week of October. But we will be back on our normal schedule next month and plan to be on the normal schedule for December. The scheduling may change. We may cancel in December based on my scheduling conflicts and all of that. So you can get information about our monthly meetings on this link. It gives you all the information you need to know. It'll give you the live link. It has a link to the agenda, which I highly recommend that you pull up for today. The second paragraph on the monthly meetings has a link to the Google Docs agenda, which we will be looking at today. It's actually the same running agenda all year round. So if you click on this, the Google Docs agenda, it will take you to this Google Doc. So this Google Doc is our running agenda for this year. All meetings for this year, all of our notes will be on here. Every resource that we cover, any resource that the audience brings up will be in this running document. Last year's agendas and recordings and all of that can be accessed on here as well. There is a section in the table of contents that says previous agendas. If you click on that, you can get to last year's agenda. And you can also get to my YouTube playlist of all of our previous meetings for last year, which they were all recorded, so they are available to you on my YouTube channel. So that is a little bit about the agenda. The agenda, I'll go through it real quick, has, like I said, everything that you may need to know about the group. We've got how you can connect with us. That's the first section of the table of contents. Then I've got the actual monthly agendas. And as I mentioned already, we've got the previous agendas. We've got connect with GEG Iowa, information about the website here. We've got my email address. Here is our Twitter account, our Facebook account, my YouTube channel, and then the email discussion group that was already mentioned. The next section below that, it has information on how you can join us live. This live link is the same link for all year. It will just at all times it'll show you the upcoming event that is planned. And as mentioned, they are all recorded, so you can see all of our previous ones there. And then there is a link to subscribe to the Google Calendar if you would like to. That it has all events for the year. And then next year, when I have decided the dates, I will throw them on the same one. So that is a little bit about that. Let's move on to a little information about me, your host. My name is Whitney Bacon. I am the leader of the GEG Iowa, and I have been an educator for like 10 and a half years at this point. My first year teaching was 2013. So I taught middle school for 7.5 years, a different range of classrooms, 5th grade through 8th grade, mostly focused on literacy. And I also was a general ed teacher for 5th grade for 2 years. So kind of a wide variety of things. Very quickly into my teaching, I realized I was really passionate about connecting with educators and serving as a guru, giving them some tech resources and stuff like that. So then I decided after 5 years into teaching that I wanted to go back for my master's in something educational technology wise. And so I did. I have a master's in educational technology with a focus of technology in schools. And shortly after getting my master's, I started working at the Iowa Educational Services for the Blind and Visually Impaired. I am our ed tech specialist or instructional designer. My role is to essentially design content for our staff to help them with anything that they need tech-wise. So I train them, I research various resources to see if it's accessible for our visually impaired students, or some of our staff are also visually impaired. So I have been there 2.5 years, almost 3 years, and I love the job. So that is a little bit about me. There is my contact information on there. I've got my email address and I've got my Twitter, and I am based out of Cedar Rapids. I have a home office. I mostly work here. So that is a little bit about me. So on the next section of the agenda, there's information about how you can leave feedback at any point during the live stream, watching the recording, or things like that. You can ask questions, you can leave comments. If you have a resource that you would recommend that is somehow relevant to what we're talking about that month, or you want to recommend something for me to check out for a future monthly meeting, then there's a variety of ways you could do it. So you could leave a chat in the live stream. You could leave a comment in this document. There is specifically a section on every month's agenda for the audience show and tell. That is honestly the easiest location for people to leave comments. If we would prefer, you can leave feedback on this Google form in any way that you want to. You also have my contact information, so you could ask questions that way as well. Okay, so let's take a look at what I want to share with fellow educators this month. Last month, for those of you who were not able to join us, we discussed Powertoys. Let me show you. These are all collapsible and expandable. So last month, I shared my top 3 tools on Powertoys, which Powertoys is a utility toolbox that you can install onto any Windows device that gives you extra productivity tools. So these were 3 that I shared last month. They are my go-to. I use them pretty much every day. So last time I talked about that. Make sure you check out the video. In this section, I have that last session available. It is linked on here, so check out that at your convenience. But today, because there is so many cool resources in Powertoys, and my top 3 did not even scratch the surface, today I just wanted to do a part 2, essentially to dive into some of the other ones and talk about some other features of Powertoys that you should check out. There is more than I even have time for today. So essentially, I'm just highly recommending that you install Powertoys, and it is something that they are constantly working on. It is a developer tool, so they are constantly releasing new stuff. So it's definitely worth checking out fairly frequently. Every time on my agenda, I always try to have where you can install whatever tool it is or where you can register, sign up, la da da da. So the first link on here is where you can go to install Microsoft Powertoys. Yes, thank you guys that were here last month. This is going to be a little bit of a repeat because I just need to make sure. So you can install it, and this, keep in mind, if you are using a like a work device, if you need admin credentials to install like programs and applications, you're going to need it for Powertoys, because Powertoys is an additional application that you have to download and install onto the device. So it does require admin privileges. If it is a personal device that you are installing this on, you will not need that. That is where you can download this. So once it is downloaded, it will look something like this. This is the dashboard. It shows you all available ones, and it shows you which ones you have turned on. I have turned on all of the ones that I'm going to talk about today. So let's look at the first one, which is called Image Resizer. So as mentioned, this dashboard has like a really quick summary of all of these, but it doesn't give you a lot of information about them. So there's a couple ways that you can get more information about whatever tool you are interested in. You can, if you're on this dashboard and you see one you're interested on, you can click on it. It will take you and it'll give you a little bit of information. There, for each one, there's also a learn more about, so you can click that. I will say this takes you to like their website, and it's got a lot of like developer lingo. So I would recommend possibly instead just searching on YouTube for examples of how people use some of the tools. That might be a little easier to read than the developers' information about them. There's also on the very left sidebar, you can see all of them, and like you can go to each one to kind of get more information about them, to activate them. Just a reminder, with Powertoys, once it's installed, you have to enable the tools that you want, but then once they are enabled, then you have to like learn how to use them. So like you have to learn how to activate them. So right now I have enabled Image Resizer, the first one I'm going to talk about. Image Resizer is pretty self-explanatory. It lets you resize the images from like the right-click context menu, but there are like you can preset the different ones, and this one, it seems really basic, but the whole point is that like if I have an image that is not the size that I want, I can really quickly change it to one of these sizes. So there are 4 of them that it comes with. Those are the default ones. If you have very specific ones that you want to put in, you can go for it. So let's take a look at this. All right, I have it enabled, so it's ready to go. So I'm going to go to my Windows Explorer. I have a stored image of my grandparents, and it's actually very large. If you notice down here at the bottom, it says it's only at 29%. If I put it at its actual size, I don't know why this image is so big. So we are going to rectify that. So, okay. So how we do this, when you've got an image and you have this image resizer enabled, you can just use the right click context menu. And then from here, there will now be an option with this enabled to resize with Image Resizer. So I'm going to select that. And then there's some different options for me, medium, large, and phone, and I can do a custom on the fly. So say I like need to resize a banner for Facebook or something. If I know the exact size, then I can come in here and I can select that. Just as example, I am going to resize this to the large. Here is the large. Okay, so this is the large version. And then, so there you go. Say you might also notice looking at these settings here that when I renamed them, it added the dimensions to the end. By default, anytime you resize, if you have the %1, it will keep the original file name. And then it has some recommendations on what else you can do. So I told it to actually add the new resized images width and height. So that is in the image file name, which is, in my opinion, just nice to have. So that is Image Resizer. It works on any file that you have stored, and it obviously works it works for images. That's what it's designed for. But yeah, any image that you have saved, you can resize it really quickly to whatever dimensions that you want. There are very standard size, like say you needed to resize something for your profile picture and you know exactly what dimensions you need to have. Say you need to resize it for Instagram. You can do that and it's real easy. Next one is called Peak. Okay, I really like Peak. I forget to use it. In fact, just showing you guys the images for the last time, I could have been using it and I have not been. Okay, so you'll want to go in here and you'll want to enable Peak. But Peak is essentially, it will let you have a really quick preview of whatever the file is that is stored in File Explorer. And what I mean by that is that it will pull up the file in a preview without you having to actually open the program that it's for. And why that is an advantage is that opening it for the actual program itself, it takes up more processing power for the computer and it's just slower. So let's take a look at this. This one works for more than just pictures. Pictures is probably where you can see the most advantageous part of this, but it works for pretty much any stored file. So let's take a look using Peak. And remember to use Peak, you have to actually enable it first. So I have Peak turned on, and then I can actually use the shortcut, which is Control and Space. So with this enabled, I am going to go to some files that I've got stored. So let's start with simple stuff, okay? So I'm going to start with this image, and I'm just going to do Control and Space, and then here it is. It pulled up a preview. So may not seem like much. This is just some pictures from my wedding when I was just trying to digitize a lot of my old photos. But that preview was way faster than had I actually opened this image. Probably not that noticeable, but it's a lot more noticeable with like bigger files. So you can do this with videos. This is a video that I made for staff a while ago. So this is just a preview. It's not my actual video player. There is an option when you are looking at the preview to open whatever that file is in its native thing, which will take longer. It'll slow down the computer and all that. This Peak feature is when you are just trying to find the file that you're looking for, or maybe you just want to look at something real quick in there. and you don't want to actually open the file itself. So same thing with like, I can do this with a document. So this is actually the agenda, but I downloaded it for Microsoft Word. So I'm going to do Control and space. You will notice that the agenda looks slightly different in here because this is a preview. It is not actually Word. If I opened it in Word, which I can do, it will look more like the actual original file that is stored online. This works for spreadsheets too. So here is that. You can't do anything really to manipulate it. So notice these guys are in their hashtags, and it's because this column is not wide enough to show all of the characters. But if I opened it in Excel, which would take longer, but then I could actually do what I needed to it, which honestly, let me just save it, close it, and then let's open up the preview again. So there you go. The preview has that information for me. I can't actually like visit the links in here because this is just meant to serve as a quick, like, I just want to look at it quickly. All right. And then you can do this with PDFs, which again is just going to be faster. So here's a PDF that I pulled open, but I could pull it open with whatever is my default PDF reader. Here's another spreadsheet that I have. I want to point this out because you'll actually get this with some of these if you've never actually opened them in the program itself. So this file in particular, I actually downloaded from my Google Drive, but I've never opened it initially in Excel. So now that I have, now if I do it, it will show me that this is something I do as a volunteer. So that is Peak. I really like Peak. You guys should check out Peak. This next one is called Screen Ruler. There are 4 different keys that you got to use for this shortcut, which is a little frustrating, but this is helpful. So if you guys have ever, like if any of you are fellow content designers like me, instructional designers, you are probably taking a lot of screenshots or saving a lot of photos, stuff like that. Screen ruler is really helpful for when you need to know the size of something on the screen. And like it's very hard to tell that. It will tell you it in pixels. So let's take a look at Screen Ruler. Screen Ruler. So I'm on Screen Ruler. I have it enabled. We do Windows Control Shift and M to activate it. And there are quite a few different things that you can do with this, but let's take a look. Windows Control Shift M. So when you do that, it will pull up the options. And unfortunately, since I have 2 windows, I have 2 screens, it's pulling up the options on my other screen. Okay, but I'll tell you the 4 options. So the first option will bring up like just a crosshairs. And so right now, if you can see here, I have a crosshairs and it's telling me right now the rectangle that I have active is 1041 pixels by 134 pixels. So that would show you that. I could try my logo up here and see it. We could try this guy up here. If I zoom in, it does tell me the larger pixels. So some other cool ones is that it will actually tell you like spacing. So say I want to figure out how much spacing is between these 2 lines. I can do that. I can do vertical spacing. So right now it's looking at however much like padding is between here. So it's saying that there is 170 pixels between this blue guy and the bottom of the W. If I want to do that here, I've got 41, 43. There's, yeah, in the 30s for these different ones. If you want to figure out how much space is between your letters, so right now this is telling me between my L and my M of virtual meeting is 12 pixels. And I will say it is pixels. Here, let's have a look. If there is a way to switch it from pixels. Oh, let's see. So I don't have a default one picked. So there's also an option to do both vertical and horizontal at once. So right now this is telling me that where my crosshairs is, I've got 92 pixels vertically and 236 horizontally. So this is highly useful, especially for design. That is Screen Ruler. Okay, so let's look at the next one, which is Powertoys Run. Okay, Powertoys Run. Once activated, Powertoys Run is alt space. Okay, Powertoys Run is essentially like your Windows search bar, but it's way more useful because it cuts out a lot of this like crap, for lack of a better word. So I'm going to activate it with, so we're going to do, what is it? Alt and space. Okay, there we go. So this is Powertoys Run. It will give you some recommendations of what you can do, but essentially it's just, you can do lots of things. So say I want to go to a very specific website. So say I want to go to our website. I can start typing and then it will ask, do you want to do this in your default browser? Yes. Okay. Say I want to open my Outlook. I can do that. Maybe I want to do this one. Okay, so I can do that. Say I want to, I wonder if I can send an email. Send email to Nick. You cannot do that. But yeah, so there's a lot of cool different stuff. I can search files and folders. So how about let's search for Whitney. Yeah, so it will search for whatever I'm searching for. I have not experimented with this one too much, but it's definitely worth checking out. It just seems to work way better than just your Windows search bar. Way more powerful. So that is Powertoys Run. Okay, let's look at this next one, which is called Text Extractor. Okay, so Text Extractor is essentially an OCR reader. Essentially what it does is that anytime that there is text, say in a like just in an image, in a PDF, it, as long as it can detect that it is text, this resource will try to extract it, and then it's copied to your clipboard. So then you can then paste it somewhere else. So I've got this one enabled, and the shortcut for it is Windows Shift T. So let's take a look. So we want to do Text Extractor. This works, like I said, with PDFs, with images. I haven't tried it with like a video, but I'm willing to bet it would work because it essentially just becomes like a screenshot. So it would just be taking a screenshot of the video that is on your screen. We could try it out though. We'll have to try it with the YouTube video or something like that. Okay, so let's look at a PDF. This PDF just has lots of gobbledygook on it, so I figured might as well use it. So we're going to do Windows Shift T. And then I'm just going to drag over stuff that has some text. And then I am going to pull up somewhere to actually paste this. And this is probably going to look kind of weird, but this was probably not the best one to pull up at first. So it did extract riders out. It extracted support vehicles in, or sorry, no, it just got support vehicles. It's not perfect. It really depends on what you are looking at. Let's look at a receipt. So here is a receipt. I'm going to tell it to extract some of this. So we've got Windows Shift T. Let's try this line. That time it only picked up medium breed. And I'm just doing Control V to paste this after after using the tool. So let's see if we can try this again. Windows Shift T. Let's do as much of it as possible. So this time it copied a little more of it. Again, it's not the best example, but the whole point is if you guys have ever been using like an image, a PDF or something, and there's just a lot of text on it that you can't very easily extract from it and copy and paste. This just saves you time, makes you more productive by being able to just take an image and extract text from it and then paste it wherever you need to go. So I'm going to do it for this road sign one. I'm going to try this guy right here. See how it did. This one, I think it did pretty well. And then it is pasted, so I could come in here and I could change it as needed. So this says an unabridged river ahead. Let's do period can cause an expensive damage to the car, driver fully liable. Yeah, so I'm not sure why it's struggling with certain letters. They might just be a little harder to see. But who knows? Did pretty good actually. So that is the extractor. And then the last one, it is called Power Rename. So Power Rename is really helpful when you need to rename a large batch of files and they all are going to have some kind of similar file naming system. So I have this one enabled, and this one you can activate it from the right click context menu. So a good example of how this one is useful is when I was digitizing all of my photos for my wedding slideshow. I scanned a lot of photos, and then they all came in as just Epson blah 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 blah. So I can use Power Rename to, if I wanted to, like, and right now these are all images of me. And so I could come in here, select all of them, and then right click. And we are going to do rename with Power Rename. And that's going to pull up this menu. And if I wanted to rename all of them and say, let's replace, so we are going to search Epson, blah, 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 blah. And we're going to replace it with Whitney, like childhood photos or something like that. So let's do that. We're going to apply. Okay, I probably should have I should have left the, if you notice, there's just right after the S, it's just whatchamacallit. So let's do this again. We're going to do this, and this time we're going to replace it with that plus an underscore. So it will be less of a mess. There we go. So these have all been renamed, which is awesome. It was really quick to do. There is some other interesting stuff that you can do with this, but I haven't experimented with it enough to know how that works. So I'll have to keep playing. But yeah, this is really helpful for if you have a folder with a lot of stuff. But I will say there is an option to do this for like subfolders. So say I want to like go to my documents folder, and then in my documents folder, I want to rename it with Power Name. So say I want to, first off, we're going to come to this little filter guy. We're going to switch it from show all files to I only want to show the ones that are going to be affected by whatever I'm trying to do. So right now I'm just going to search for Whitney, and notice it pulled up all of my files, including any subfolders and all of that include Whitney in them. So if I were to then be like, okay, I'm going to replace them with Whitney, or how about, since like I didn't actually change my last name when I got married, but that might be something like, oh, let's replace it from Whitney Bacon to my new last name. And I could do Whitney to my husband's last name is Ramstead. So I could replace them all. I'm not going to because again, I did not actually change my last name. So that is Power Rename. There is other cool stuff to do with Power Rename. I just haven't had a chance to experiment with it. In general, this is just an awesome tool. I know that we spent a lot of time on it, but it's highly worth like spending time on. My bonus one, it's nothing too special, but it's called Within Hours. So what's cool about Within Hours is that like if you were traveling somewhere or if you just want to be like you want to go on a weekend trip, then you can say, all right, I want to find something that is within 50 miles of, I live in Cedar Rapids, so let's do that. And it's just going to give you some quick ideas of things you can do that are within that distance. It's not amazing, but it was just really something that I recently stumbled upon that was like, ooh, this is kind of fun. I should check that out. So, and I think you can do it essentially with anything. So say I'm like in the middle of absolutely nowhere. What's a really small town? Let's do Spencer, Iowa. Spencer, Iowa. And we can see what is within 50 miles of Spencer, Iowa. It only came up with 2 things. There you go. Or no, sorry, this is the north of there. We've got 50 miles northeast of there and all of that stuff. So it's really cool. And then it gives you a little map of it. It also tells you what cities are near whatever you searched and all that. So definitely worth checking out. I enjoy this. I haven't used it quite yet. This might have been a good idea for on our honeymoon when we were in Iceland, but did not think to use it. So last thing that I always try to end on is with information about our upcoming events. Thank you again for joining us on October. Our next event is going to be November 20th at 7 p.m. The December event is currently scheduled for December 18th at 7 p.m. But if for whatever reason it doesn't happen, I will update here and I will update the spreadsheet as soon as I know if we're changing things up. But as of right now, I don't think that I will be changing the event. So thank you guys very much for joining us tonight. I hope to see you on November 20th. So thanks. Have a good night, y'all.